Greetings, travelers. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kahi.
And we're
The
the Genshin
Genshin
Guys. Welcome all. This podcast is for fans of Genshin Impact, the mobile game made by Hoyoverse, formerly known as MiHoYo. Here we talk about our opinions, experiences, and dreams about Genshin Impact. We have new episodes every Monday, so if you like our show, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the podcast. So, before we get started, Kahi, how are you doing today?
Doing rather well. I have found a nice solution, temporary, hopefully, to the background noise. I have closed all my windows. So there's going to be very much less cricket noises, unless we need them. I'll just open up a window if we crack a Sino joke. And then I'll just open it up for a little bit, let the natural sound effects kick in, and then I'll just close it back up again. Other than that, cooler weather is setting in, so I don't have to worry about being without the cool trade wind air coming in, so I like that. It's doing rather well so far. What about you, Josh? How's the weather up there?
Oh, the weather here in Tokyo is very cold, Kahi. It is getting colder and colder every day. Nighttime is very cold. So, yeah, walking my dog is very cold. Everything is cold, and it's going to get colder. It's weird because I moved, here from Hawaii, so like it's totally 180 when it comes to weather stuff. But yeah. Otherwise, I'm enjoying, hanging out. There's Christmas lights and stuff like that already starting to be prepared. Starbucks has gingerbread lattes and stuff like that, so that's fun. But yeah, weather's good. Otherwise, me myself, I'm off today, so I'm just chilling and just playing some Genshin, playing some Pokemon. So yeah, let's get started. So I'll start by introducing today's topics, which is, of course, as always, our week in Genshin, and then followed by Genshin news. Then today, Kahi will be leading us through a social safari, which is where we go through some notable community posts about the game or around the game in the community. And I will be talking about the fungi event for some fungi fun. And lastly, we will be talking about our community discussion question as always. So, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out real quick again to my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/jside, where I stream Genshin along with other games. And my goals, which I shared in a previous podcast, which is to get to 30 people, 30 followers, to be able to do a live stream of Genshin content and Genshin things that I've bought in person, that I have, like a manga and a magazine and like an art book and all this stuff that I got from going to the Genshin cafes. There was Genshin collaboration cafes, so I have a couple of those things. Actually, I have a bunch of stuff, and just some stuff from Akihabara and around Japan. So since I've announced the 30 followers goal, 7 people have followed. So if you haven't followed yet, please, I recommend. I would love for you to help us achieve this goal and follow my channel on twitch.tv/jside, and let's have fun gaming together and have a cool stream, and hopefully you enjoy the podcast. Thank you very much. So let's get started with our first topic of the day, which is my week or our weeks in Genshin. So, Kahi, how was your week in Genshin this past week?
So, I finally finished the Aranara quest line, which arguably is longer than the Archon quest line.
Wow.
So that thing is long. I'm glad that there's a lot of quest content. I'm also glad that it was a good excuse to guide the player to certain parts of the region, unlock certain parts of the map, so that you have a reason to go back there. It's kind of like a guided tour, or like, an encouraged path throughout the area. I mean, it just gives you reasons to go there, because that one story says, hey, now that you're in this area, did you know there's a puzzle nearby? I actually had to unlock one of the waypoints that was underwater first, because I had to go there. So that kind of pushed me into an area that says, okay, I'm not going to put it off, but I still kind of need that waypoint. And I didn't even realize there are still hidden waypoints under the forest that I didn't even see, and it now makes sense why it's there. So yeah, that quest line it's good, but honestly, just the tone of it all was like very. Uh, it was almost too cute, almost too much aimed at kids. I didn't really feel immersed into it, even though like
Really?
yeah. I mean, the end is
Wow.
cool.
I haven't finished it yet,
Yeah,
so
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but
I can't really talk about it, but yeah.
mhm. Like the Archon quest is for like the big kids. The Aranara quest is for the little kids. So I don't feel like it. I didn't feel like I needed to do the whole thing, but it was nice that I got a bunch of rewards along the way. So there's that. But yeah. Other than that, I went back to perfecting my characters. Now, one of the characters I wanted to get back to and start perfecting to its absolute pinnacle is Raiden Shogun. And
Uh-huh.
before I begin, the reason why I went and took a look back at Raiden Shogun is because I recently finished making an AMV for Genshin Impact. And for those of you who do not know what an AMV is, it is an anime music video. Typically refers to an anime, source as well as a music or a song or audio that you like, and you just kind of edit the two together. But if it's specifically a video game, some people just use the term GMV, but they can be used interchangeably. Just anything animated with music made into a video. And I made the highlight of the whole music video like Raiden Shogun. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go back to Raiden. Let me just see if I can, build her up a little bit more. Because of all the characters that I currently have, I'd say Raiden Shogun is my most powerful in terms of like well crafted uh character. I have 300% energy recharge on her because everything around her revolves around that. Her and the other character I have in the team is Mona, and she has like 270 energy recharge. So I'm just getting bursts like left and right. But Shogun is one of those characters. It's sad that I have to even say this. Like her crit rate and damage is ridiculously low. Like I was sitting on like I think 17 or 27% crit rate and only like 70% crit damage
Wow.
because
Wow. Wow.
I was leaning everything towards energy recharge. So now that I
Right.
have the time, I'm just going back to the old domain in Inazuma, get those artifacts again and just see if it can roll with energy recharge and crits. Now that
You know what like quote unquote golden ratio for like crit rate to crit damage is?
50 and 200
It's whoa, that's crazy. No.
or
It's
50,
70 140.
is that what it was?
Yeah, 70 crit rate and 140 crit damage. That's like
I thought it was at least half.
like the average ideal. Now, cuz half is 50-50, right? You want it to be more than half the time you get your
I
crits.
mean, true, but it's still like if I attack 3 times, one of them's going to be a crit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not guaranteed still, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, especially on
Yeah.
people who have slower or less attacks. I mean, I would feel like I assume a character that attacks rapidly has more chances for it to crit.
Oh,
But
yeah,
even
of
still,
course.
I need I at least want to get crit damage above 100 because like me if I have to play with
Yeah, it's true.
the Electro Archon, those numbers can't be low, regardless of how much energy recharge I have and how crazy that number already is.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you could always go for like large
mhm,
crit damage and just fish for the crits, like, for the big
yeah,
numbers. Like, you could always do that.
true.
That's
But
fine.
then I still want my rule for artifact farming. I don't know if I told you this, but like if I get an artifact and the main stat, of course, has to be good, even though there can be 4 substats, if 3 of them are good and like damage dealing, damage related, or are of the stats that I'm looking for, I'll just keep it and level it up. So
Right.
I have like too many artifacts that I've had just kept rolling into like that one specific stat that I didn't need.
Yep.
So like
Yep.
there was no
Yep.
point in getting that thing. So I just use it as
Yeah.
fuel for the other ones.
Yep. Yep.
But I think currently my Raiden Shogun is now at like 57 crit rate and 70-ish crit damage, which of course is still very low, but I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
get it up. And whatever artifacts that are, left over, I'm only using the 4-star artifacts and below for, level up fuel and throwing the golden ones into the strong box at the alchemy table. So whatever
Right.
golden ones I get that I don't want, I'm just doing that to get the Pyro artifacts for Dea later on. So, farming for
I
two
see.
characters at once, perfecting my best character, prepping for new character. I really love that strongbox because I don't want to go to, especially that the one where the witch's flame set comes from. There's
Yeah,
like you
that's
have
the
to
one a lot
pop
of
the
people
shields.
strongbox. Yeah,
Oh god, I love that thing. I don't.
yeah.
I really don't want it to keep adding the older sets into this because like the domains after Mondstadt and Leeway are still good, but I don't want to have to. I don't want all
Yeah.
the old
I
artifacts to
mean,
keep doing
it's
this
it's about
because
it's about being efficient, right? Like with
yeah,
your
yeah.
resources, because yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's like kind of newish. I don't know. They just added, the rest of the domains to there. I think we don't have Inazuma and Sumeru, right? So,
So
well,
the
we'll see.
the latest two continents, you have to still go to their domains. The oldest two is in the strongbox.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Finishing the quest line, perfecting my shogun, getting my pyro artifacts. As a byproduct, and then just finishing up my EMV. So yeah, what about you? How's your week been in Genshin?
So my week in Genshin has been pretty interesting. I've been leveling Heizo because I realized I really, really do like his fighting style. I kind of forgot about him a little bit after Dendro came out because Anemo, besides Kazuha, was not the priority to play around with. But now that like Dendro has sunk in and I have Nahida and like there's a bunch of fun things I can do, I want to start leveling up my Heizo and making him really strong because I really like his like martial arts style catalyst like gameplay, One Punch Man style, and I think it's really fun. So I'm gonna level him up. Fortunately, the current banner is Heizo, along with Toma and Layla, and so I can get some more constellations for him, which is really nice because I think at least after his first two constellations, it starts feeling a lot better playing him. And then I've been gathering materials, so I've been like trying to collect bugs and plants and things and whatever I can use Nahida's awesome elemental skill for, just to start preparing to level up all my other characters because one of my goals is to level up all the characters to 90, which I'm a lot of there are a lot of people, content creators especially, who main this game, um, who have that done, but I haven't always been efficient. I've been playing other games, so I'm trying to just like be as efficient as possible with the time that I've been putting into Genshin, to gather materials. So I've been having a lot of fun exploring while collecting materials. On top of that, this past week, I've been starting to finally level up my US account a lot so I can play with people in the Americas like Kahi.
Hey,
So I can smoke you in Genius Invocation TCG when that comes out.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I'm
so
actually
I'm really
really
looking
looking
forward to
forward to
that.
that.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So I really want to catch up before that comes out. Like that's my goal. Is like get to Sumeru and complete the Archon quest as soon as possible. Like I'm not even trying to focus on like getting everything. Like I might even not prioritize getting all the stamina from the Animoculuses and stuff like that from the first two continents because I really just want to progress the story. Like I want to do everything I can to progress the story. So whatever it takes, I'm trying to work on that. But at the same time, while I'm leveling up, I'm like going through. Originally we were talking about like, oh, maybe we should like um see what it's like to start a new account now and then see like how the progression is. But actually, like I've seen like there are people who like dedicated entire channels to this. Like, they have a completely free to play account. They've never spent anything since day one, stuff like that. So like that is like a really interesting comparison. But for me, I just thought, you know what, my US account, it's kind of like it may end up becoming my like main second account because I have so many friends and things I want to do and interact with in Genshin in the Americas as well as in Asia. So my main account is in Asia. And so yeah, so I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna spend any money on the America account. It's gonna be 100% free to play, but I am going to use my gems on the characters I feel like will make the biggest impact to my progression. Um, so I'm thinking, I was trying to get Nahida. I was unable to get her. I was only able to get enough gems for like 40 or so pulls. But now I'm going to try to go for uh the Wanderer, or Baladi or Scaramouche or whatever you want to call him. I'm gonna go for him next because just from what I've heard, about him and what I've been, just based on what has come across my timeline um, on Twitter. He looks very, very useful for exploration, and I think it'll help me to get through a lot of the challenges a lot quicker. And so I'm thinking to spend my gems on him, but I'm gonna be really, really picky on my American account on who I spend with. But like I've been doing that while teaching my friend how to play, who just got into Genshin. So I've been like kind of seeing how far I've come as a Genshin player for playing since basically the past 2 years. Like I started on day one, but then I didn't really start playing until like a month later, and I had to start a new account in Asia and all this stuff. So you know, I'm trying to help my friend get through it and teaching him how to play, and it's just been really fun. Like I really like Genshin. I can see how far it's grown. I think back to when I was AR 20 or whatever, and it was such a different game in a lot of aspects. And even just the fact that Dendro exists now, like going through the game with Dendro and there are Dendro slimes and you can cause Dendro reactions, like that changes the way some random fights will play out. And I think that that's interesting by itself. Also, you can just like stumble yourself into Sumeru, which is not a thing. You can't stumble yourself into Inazuma. So very, very interesting that the world is starting to become more and more connected, and the people who really truly just explore will end up in way crazier places than we could have ever landed when we first started playing the game early on in its lifespan. So anyway, this week I've been doing all that, just really enjoying the game and thinking about like how far we've come as a game, and how far we will go is going to be something I'm really looking forward to, and I think we're all looking forward to, which is why we're here doing this podcast, right, Kahi?
Right.
All right, exactly. So that was our weeks in Genshin. So let's move on to Genshin news. Now, Genshin news, we don't have a lot of it, but we do have the Outside the Canvas, Inside the Lens Greenery Chapter event, the photography event. So if you are interested in taking photography of in-game photography, using the characters, using the in-game camera system, this is a really good way to practice or to even get introduced to the concept of doing that in the game. It seems like they're experimenting with some different ways to make the camera system more robust to give you more options. So that's really, really cool. It's something we definitely want to see ourselves, as me and Kahi both love photography and love taking in game photos. So, this event, I definitely recommend you try it. There's a lot of really fun conditions for the photography for you to kind of experiment with different things. And hopefully, this means good things for our camera system in the future. So there's actually going to be a real life photo contest for this event as well. So the pictures that you do take, make sure you save them, and make sure you, if you're interested, if you get a really, really good one, you want to share it, upload it. The link is on the Twitter, as well as I believe the HoYoverse app. So definitely the Hoyo Lab app. So check that out. And event aside, of course, we have the new banner. So we have Layla was released, a brand new 4-star character who is coming in with Tartaglia and Yai Miko's banners as a featured 4-star, along with Heizo and Toma. So really, really cool 3 characters to have as 4-stars on a banner. So I definitely recommend. They're all very fun and have their own kinds of gameplay. So if you're interested in them, this would be a good time. If you're interested in Yaimiko and Child, this is a really good time as well. They're both really great units, really fun to play as, and yeah. So if you get them, let us know. Tweet at us at Genshin Guys Pod. So that's basically all the Genshin news we have. The other thing is the Fabulous Fungus Frenzy event, which we're going to be talking about later as one of our topics. So um hopefully you've all been enjoying the game. I personally feel like we're kind of at a slow point. Like we've kind of like, we had this big story event that happened, and now we're kind of at a lull between our conquests, and most likely the next updates are going to be interlude quests, most likely involving Scaramouche, etc. But we will see what lies in store. But for now, I think is the perfect time to do what Kahi's doing, what I've been doing, like just gather materials, start working on your characters, and start trying to plan ahead for the cool stuff that's probably going to come in the future. So that's my personal opinion anyway. So without further ado, uh, Kahi is going to lead us through a social safari So, Kahi, I'm gonna give you the mic. Here you go, Kahi.
All right, thank you, Juside. So now, before I begin, since this is going to be a social focused segment, we have a very frequent viewer or listener by the name of the Traveler, who always so graciously includes the hashtag Down Under. So, good night, mate. Hello, greetings from Hawaii to Australia. Thank you for your continued support. I just wanted to add that before we begin the social safari part, since we're talking about social media and hashtags and whatnot. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. They're just like fun little facts, funny facts, or interesting facts about the game and around the game. So first off, I want to start off with the upcoming nominees for the Video Game Awards. It's going to be about, I think, within the month, I believe, within the next month. So Genshin Impact actually popped up in two categories, or at least two categories for now. Of course, one of them being Best Mobile Game. So Genshin Impact. Alongside that, the other nominees are Apex Legends Mobile, which I had no idea there was a mobile version, so there's that. We also have Diablo Immortal, and the new Marvel Snap that just recently came out. Josh, did you play Marvel Snap yet?
Bro, I am so into Marvel Snap. You have no
I really
idea.
need to start
I
because
streamed it. I actually streamed it too, like once.
I
Yeah.
know it's like a phone game. You play it
Yes.
vertically, not like on an iPad or anything.
Yes.
I know you can play it on iPad, but it's like how is the
But it's
gameplay on
vertical.
that one?
Um, it's amazing because you
Mm-hmm.
can play with basically a whole entire game with a deck of 20 cards in 5 minutes, and like less than 5 minutes. And sometimes it's super fast, and there's like an element of gambling your points away. So like if you feel really confident, you can gamble more of your points. So when you lose more, but if you win more. And there's just like really nice polished like UI with a really nice card variant. So like even though you have like a Spider-Man Miles Morales card, there's like a different variant, and then there's a different variant, and like you get them kind of randomly. So everybody has different stuff, and but they're the same cards. There's a lot of really interesting things in that. I definitely recommend it if you're into card games or into Marvel, or especially if you're into both. But it is fun. I think it's gonna go from here. It's gonna keep going for a really long time, and I am like I don't know like the easiest way I can explain to you. I know you don't know how long it takes to get there, but I'm like level 443, and the game just came
That
out like
sounds long.
yeah. So
Sounds like it's a
I mean,
long
I play
time
it
to get
every
there.
day. So it's very fun. I play it on the train, like on commuting to work and stuff. So it's pretty good. I definitely recommend
Might
it. But
look into it.
I don't
Hmm.
know, man. Genshin though, Genshin is like Genshin.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
you
see Genshin
can't,
as a mobile game that much.
but
Like
it
it
is.
is a mobile game. It is a
Mm-hmm.
mobile game. So I like for me, it's like Genshin's top. Like Genshin's up there. But
It
when I think
is.
mobile
It's
game,
up
like
there.
get on 5 minutes, get off. Like Marvel Snap makes more sense for me. Um, but yeah, I love Genshin. So of course I voted for Genshin for best mobile game if I could.
Well, keep in mind, the category itself, best mobile game, does say specifically the best game playable on a mobile device. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it has mobile aspects or it is tuned for the verticality of
Ah,
smartphones.
true, true,
It is
true, true.
simply playable on a mobile device. And we're not talking about like those remote play things or like internet play things where you do like you're playing on a virtual PC or whatnot. Like
Yep, yep. The
built
cloud
for
gaming,
mobile. Yeah,
which I
cloud
do
gaming.
also.
Built
Yeah.
for mobile, if Genshin does not take it, I am not gonna give it to Tower of Fantasy. No,
Wait,
just
is
does
Tower of
not have.
Fantasy on there?
Yes. Of the five nominees
So
so
I mean
far,
I haven't heard about this, but like Tower of Fantasy is like apparently dying. Like people are just leaving
I believe it.
in
Hmm.
flocks. Like so. Anyway, we talked about that already.
We
So
had that
here
episode.
we
If you
are.
want to listen to that, ladies and gentlemen, you can go look at our previous podcast. It has Tower of Fantasy on it. It's pretty early on, but if you've already moved on from Tower of Fantasy, I can understand. I respect it. But Genshin Impact is going to take that category easily. But the other category that is also, I guess, makes sense for this kind of game as well as some other games is the best ongoing category. So it's a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Now, here's an interesting one. Genshin Impact is also going up against Destiny 2, my second favorite game right now.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And here's the other games it's competing against just to show you just how big this game has gotten. Genshin Impact is competing against Destiny 2, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, and Fortnite
Wow.
in this category. This is
I don't
where
know,
it's
man.
at.
I think Fortnite's gonna win. To be honest.
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I would just be disappointed because
Yeah. If
when you're
Genshin didn't
talking
win.
about, yeah, because if the category says evolves the player experience over time, I think Genshin Impact does that the most. Fortnite is almost like continuous type of gameplay, but Genshin Impact consistently has their mini events, all the new characters, their Archon story quests, especially Sumeru, and just how the game was built. It is dramatic difference over every single patch. I noticed this from like when you talk about from Inazuma to now, Sumeru was a completely different style, completely different art direction,
It's
completely
true.
different
It's true.
sound. It has evolved in the past year more than the past 2 years. So
Yeah.
that's what I
Well,
think.
so I mean, of course, like you don't play Fortnite, right?
Not really, but I will
So
understand if it does.
Fortnite, I didn't understand how different this game is now than from when it launched. Um, until I started playing it recently, because like I'm really a huge fan of Spider-Man and specifically Spider Gwen, and Spider Gwen is the Battle Pass character, so I've been playing it, and I really like Fortnite because they added the mode where you don't have to build to play. Um,
Oh, the no build.
and
When was that? Last year or
yeah,
the year before?
they added it earlier this year. Oh wait, I don't remember, but
Yeah, no
they
build
added it.
was quite a while.
Yeah, they added it a while ago. But the biggest thing I realized about Fortnite, is when you play the game, you're actually like it's more of the feeling of playing in a story game, like playing in a single player game, like with NPCs on the map, with side quests, with missions, exploration. Like it's like playing that, but with a battle royale going on at the same time. So like
Okay, that does
there
sound
are
interesting. I do like that.
it's so interesting. And every game, every season, they introduce totally new mechanics that change the way you play everything on the map, or like or like at least like big key areas. Like there's one thing where there's certain key areas were turned into this location where like you can walk through the walls, like you like phase through the walls, like it's like liquid memory metal, and you like phase through it, and then you can drink a potion that makes you liquid memory metal, and so you can like turn into a blob and slide across the floor and then double jump in the air and slide over water
Okay,
as well.
that does sound pretty
And so
fun.
like it's like the game itself is so fun. I really wish that it was still on like iPhones and stuff, like for easy access. But I've been playing it on like the cloud gaming service or on my PlayStation. But it is it's definitely, I think that Fortnite has earned its spot as like one of the top grossing games of all time. Like of course the
Well,
crossovers
I
and stuff
believe
is
it.
just insane, but
I agree. Yeah.
but yeah, I think Fortnite is like, for me personally, like when I think about my experience with all the games that you mentioned on there, Fortnite is the most, has like evolved the most in terms of like
Okay. Okay.
feeling when you
Yeah,
go into the
that's
game. Like
believable.
Genshin, I go into Genshin and I just like, there are still times where I just go into Genshin and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do my dailies, bye, like, and
Well,
then
you're on a
I'll go
break or
condense my
something. Yeah,
resin or whatever.
or
Yeah,
like a sit
but
down game
the
session.
game,
Fortnite.
mostly feels the same. It's just like they just like slowly. I think we're not there yet. I feel like Genshin, like once we get like something that, like we got those things in Sumeru that let us travel, like the four leaf sigils, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that changes the way it feels to like navigate through the vertical space that is Sumeru, and we talked about that like when we first did our Sumeru episode. But like when will we get like an actual vehicle that we can use to travel around like on land, right? When will we get like a new weapon type? Like we got Dendro, like that was a big deal because like that opened up the door for characters to become usable in different ways. And we just got the teapot thing where we can do or we can copy other people's teapots, but it's still like, it's still, people are still figuring that system out. I think the biggest thing for me that would change Genshin and the way Genshin feels to play is like, if they can't. I still think my favorite idea for Genshin in the future is custom domains. Like people make their own domains with
Oh yeah,
what
permanently.
enemies spawn, what enemies spawn or whatever. You can make it like a challenge domain like they let us make before, or you can make it like a normal domain where like a spiral abyss type deal where like it's a challenge and people compete for the highest time. It's like infinite end game content, like custom rooms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like a
I
teapot
feel like
with added things.
yeah, exactly. And I would love. I feel like that would make playing the game like you would go into the game with a different goal almost sometimes. And I think that Fortnite made me feel that way. Like I can go into a battle royale game, but I'm not thinking about the battle royale anymore. I'm thinking about I gotta do this quest, or I want to do this story thing, or like, and it's all in the same space. But for Genshin, it's like Genshin's still Genshin. You can just like do some extra little things here and there, but I think the core gameplay hasn't. The core experience hasn't changed. Like the story's gotten
Hmm.
better. They've
Yeah.
added quality of life. Yeah, so I mean, I would love Genshin to win everything, but like in my personal experience playing
Yeah.
those two games currently, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. I
But
guess I do have a bit of a bias because I don't play Fortnite like at all,
right.
but I
But how
keep
do you feel
hearing
about
about it.
Destiny 2?
Destiny 2 is great, but I do
Yeah, but
recognize that
like
it has
as an
maintained. It's
ongoing
been stagnant for a while.
okay,
It
okay.
has. Okay. So for Destiny 2, they have like they have for this past year updated the subclass elements like every season,
Right.
which is
Right.
great because these elements have maintained the same identity, same abilities, although with balance and tuning here and there for like the past 4 years. Only this year were they revamped to a second version of it. Imagine if like Animal, you only had Animal Traveler, and his abilities were like always weak. But like 4 years later, they said, you know what, we're gonna change up Animal Traveler again, and we're gonna like give him like four skills. That's kind of how it happened in Destiny 2, which is
Wow.
fantastic. So they completely revamped all the base elements powers, and every season
Oh,
that came out, they
really?
focused on one. So that entire season, everyone was using that one element because all of the abilities changed, all of the things around the abilities changed, and everyone's just kind of testing out their builds again. It got more people
Cool.
interested in build crafting. But now all the elements have been changed, and like this last season is probably not going to have any big changes like that because it's just already done. So um, especially the seasonal model, it's still like the same. You have an artifact, you level it up, and get like temporary mods that expire at the end of the season. I mean, no one likes that. No one likes, temporary power, like borrowed power, and then you go right back to the same thing the next season. So they
Right.
do well as far as like it's a beautiful game. Yeah, like the soundtrack is beautiful, the gameplay is beautiful. Like as far as like any shooter game, I prefer this over any of the gameplay that I've ever seen as far as like action ability as well as gunplay. You can even decide not to use a gun and just go in with like a sword or punch everything, which is nice. You get to choose how you play and fight. Um, but the fact that I like one of the reasons why I pulled up this as a highlight for the nominations is that Genshin Impact is now you know, legitimately a competition against all these other AAA games. It's going up against Respawn. It's going up against Bungie, Square Enix, Epic Games. That's where it's at now. So there's no reason for people to be ignoring this kind of game. I know there's some streamers out
Yeah.
there that keep looking at it and like, nah, I don't want to play it. I mean, do you watch Asmongold? You remember that guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
a little bit.
he's he's funny, but he's like he does have really strong critiques like for game design. He's one of those guys that even game developers contact him and have discussions openly. Like the new Ashes of Creation game, the developer values his opinion enough to have conversations on stream, which is cool. So he's that Asmongold guy keeps reacting to Genshin Impact videos, but refuses to play it. I mean, I don't
I see.
really need him to play it, but the fact that top streamers are talking about it and playing it at the same time, it's I like knowing that Genshin is now up there. So not just a niche community. We have people that are all over the world having their eyes on this game. And speaking of which, it leads me into the next thing that I wanted to bring up about Genshin's appeal and its like trajectory as far as not just popularity but also revenue. So I've pulled up a little bar graph of all the revenue. Now this is specifically for China market, and the reason why I focus on this one is because it is based in China, so it's a game that originates there, so it makes sense why it'd be more popular there. Um, but I mean, I don't want to go into like all the countries that Genshin made money in, but this particular one, the China market iOS revenue for Genshin Impact. So there's people in the top five. Number five, most like high like the most revenue ever generated is Venti. That's number five. Number four is Yalan and Zhao's second rerun. So Venti raked in about equivalent of 30 million US. Yalan and Zhao made 32 million. Here's the top three. Number three was Raiden Shogun with 33 million. Who do you think is number two? Who do you think could be above Raiden Shogun as far as like
Um,
top grossing? You know, I don't. You'll never guess.
wait. I feel like I know this. Hold on.
Number three was
Above
Raiden
Raiden
Shogun.
Shogun. Uh huh.
The number two most lucrative banner. What do you think it could be?
Ayaka.
Raiden Shogun again, the rerun.
Oh, oh my god, dang it!
See, I know you weren't gonna guess it because
The trick
Raiden
question.
Shogun. Yeah, well, sorry for tricking you. But here's the funny thing: Raiden Shogun was already number one when she came out, but she became number one again during her rerun because people realized just how valuable she was, and then you have all this other new people wanting her again. So
Wow.
with that, what do you think is number one now? Most top grossing
Raiden
banner?
Shogun again.
Nope,
Oh,
definitely not
it's
Raiden
Nahida.
Shogun. It's Nahida. Yes.
Yeah. I saw something about this.
So Raiden Shogun made 33 million original banner, but the second rerun made 33. So Raiden Shogun is still technically number one. So overall, grossing over like 66 million. But Nahida herself, first appearance, 34 million. Basically, like every you could take like when you look at this bar graph. I mean, it's not like significant really, but like all these characters from like least like smallest banner to like newest banner, it goes over time. Like the older they get is because they came out too early and then no one really wants them. The later on they get, like they're all the new characters make the most money, and their reruns make more money because they were popular then and they're more popular now because more people are coming into the game. So it's a nice visualization of like the trajectory of the game and its popularity as well as its revenue it's generating. And the thing is, this is just in China market. I'll probably look up the US stats later, but I just saw this picture
Jeez.
floating around. Whew, that's it's insane.
Yeah.
So other than China, there's also something else happening in another country in the Philippines. Okay, so the UP Diliman Institute of Biology, this is the University of the Philippines, is having a seminar on the ecology of Genshin Impact, the Withering Zones, fiction or reality. That is an official university seminar about a fictional game zone, Genshin Impact.
That's
So
great.
I thought it was I thought it was fake, but I went to their website and it's actually legit.
Wow.
So yeah,
It's like global warming or just the withering. You decide.
but you know what's clever about this is that you draw a bigger audience because you're comparing something in the real world to a game or a topic that's popular amongst the kids and say, hey, we know you have a thing in that game. Hey, that's kind of like what's going on in the real world. Let's talk about it. Let's draw some comparisons. And it makes sense because you want to draw interest to the youths. I mean, I'm
Well,
sure.
this is where games can be a powerful medium, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Games, anime, pop culture. Because even Japan does this. I remember there was an anime called Rail Wars. Did you ever Did you ever watch that?
No, I haven't heard
Rail
of that.
Wars? It was basically just an ad for like trying to recruit people to like sign up for, I guess, work on to work with the train stations, because it was just in a regular run of the mill harem, but there's trains as the theme. It's just there
Oh,
wasn't
I
a
mean,
plot at
just
all.
at this
Uh,
point, like there's a normal run of the mill harem for every theme.
yes, pretty
So,
much
you know,
volleyball, badminton, sports, but then there was trains.
everything.
So I just thought that was funny. So like, it's nice that there's institutions that are kind of trying to appeal to the young generation. So I thought this was it was funny, but also pretty cool. But then this other one is actually just straight up funny. You sent me this picture that you found. So before I get
Yeah.
into it, you probably know what I'm talking about. Could you explain the phrase "ara ara" to our listeners? What is that?
Oh yeah. So people familiar with anime, e-girls, like all this culture that we've, somehow come to find ourselves in recently, um is when usually a it's so how can I say this? So it's so in Japanese, like the term ara, it's kind of um oh, like it just means that. It's like an exclamation. It's like oh.
A surprise,
And
maybe a little bit of
yeah, it's kind
surprise.
of it's kind
Yeah,
of like a surprise, right? And so like it's usually used normally when they just say ara. Um like it's a very normal Japanese thing. But like ara ara is like oh dear or oh my, and it's like kind of dramatic when you say it that way. And so typically they will use this in anime, and people will say this online. They will imitate anime by imitating, like usually when some character is like trying to be seductive, they'll say like ara ara, and they'll say it like oh my, oh dear, like, and this kind of
amused,
like
shocking, amused, or like
yeah, exactly.
surprised,
And so
amused.
typically it's like like older women characters, um and they say ara ara, and then everyone's like ah. So yeah, that's
Everyone
that's part of the
flips their
culture, but
lid.
it's a like ara 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 is like a normal Japanese thing, and ara is an even more normal Japanese thing. So that's where it comes from. Okay, just for context.
So yeah, you sent me a picture where they showed the who's the Ara Ara women in each zone. So in Mondstadt, like one character that would say that all the time is Lisa. In Liyue, the character that would say that would be Ning Wang, and in Azuma, the character that would say that is Yaimiko. So for anyone who still doesn't know what we're talking about, just think of the personalities of those three people. That's the kind of person that would use the phrase Ara Ara, which is hilarious because now in Sumeru, the Aranara are the only ones that say that, and they're completely like not even close to that kind of personality nor the kind of person.
Yeah,
But
it became
technically,
innocent.
I know, but technically, we have the presence of Ara Ara in every region now. But this also kind of gives me hope because there are a couple more patches for Sumeru, which means we might actually get some surprise new characters. And going by the trajectory, if we have Lisa Mondstadt, Ningguang from Liyue, Yaimiko from Inazuma, maybe Sumeru might have their own kind of character with
We don't know.
this little personality, and maybe Fontaine. Maybe all the regions have it. But yeah, that is pretty funny. Like that, this the whole
Yeah,
picture with the
aranara ara
Aranara.
ara. Yeah,
Just seeing the Aranara in the same picture as like the other characters, just a stark
yeah.
contrast is hilarious.
Like just
Um,
imagine like Lisa, Yai Miko, and Ningguang in a room together with a bunch of the aranara. Like it's just a funny scene. Like
just
what?
having
What?
tea, and they're all just
Yeah,
amused.
just chilling. You know.
Speaking of like characters from Sumeru, from Reddit, Reddit user Zodiac Rooster Zero pointed out a pretty weird, interesting fact about Nahida. Nahida is the first female character without heels for shoes. I don't know why he's looking at the feet, but I mean, apparently, this is the only barefoot character. That's just the interesting fact that was pointed out about this one character. So not only like is this the first Dendro Archon, like very unique character, but is the only one that runs around barefoot.
Yeah.
So I thought
I
that
mean, it
was a,
makes sense, right?
yeah. I mean, you're like one with the forest. You have like, you're in tune
Yeah.
with nature and stuff. I mean, you want to feel nature, but no
Yeah.
shoes, no heels. First female character without heels. That was pretty funny. And the last one I want to bring up, this is also from Reddit. Is a question posted from Reddit user Sarah Leo LB Fly. Zhongli's shield versus Raiden's Musho no Hitotachi. Who would win? Before I give my answer, Josh, who do you think would win, Zhongli's shield or Raiden's sword?
Uh, I'm gonna be honest and say probably Raiden's sword.
So I think the same way. So I have a particular reason, but I want to hear your reason. Is there a certain reason why you think Raiden wins?
Yeah, because it's super strong. Like,
That's
I
true.
think her blade is supposed to be like unblockable. I mean, obviously, there's the whole thing that happened with the Kazuha, who kind of deflected it, but like I think that Zhongli's defense, as good as it is, like Raiden's sword was almost made to go through defenses like Zhongli's. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
she would just win because that's the point of her whole sword.
Well, the reason for me is because Raiden is the only. I mean, before Sino came out, Raiden's ability was the only one that was able to do somewhat of a reality slash, like cutting through dimensions, because the slashes don't come from like Raiden Shogun specifically. Like, I mean, her gameplay is, you use your E and then you switch to another character, and then when they fight, somehow slashes come out of thin air, nowhere. So a slash can manifest within the fabric of space. Zhongli is a shield, which means there is still a gap between you and the shield. The slash could still go and appear anywhere. So there's no point in having a shield if the attack happens from behind the shield, right? I mean,
Oh wait,
but
you
like you
mean
said,
you mean like literally Zhongli's shield, like his like elemental skill shield,
or like, I mean, speaking from like a lore perspective, like if they were to meet,
right?
Zhongli still has a shield that he projects, but it is still like an area around
I
him.
see. It
Even
doesn't
like
protect like his body.
correct, because even in like the his Archon quest, he made a shield with like a ring or an area around him, and he walked forward, and things were pushed back from that barrier around him. So it's not like his body itself was protected; it is still a projected shield. So the slash could from Raiden could literally just appear in the shield, so he wouldn't be able to withstand that. However, really depends on like where the slash is coming from, of course. So if it was just a head-on collision, maybe Zhongli. But honestly, just
I
there's
see.
too much that Raiden can do that Zhongli wouldn't be able to get around. I mean, he's not
It's
as
so funny that
fast.
you take this approach of like it can go behind the shield because I think it can just straight up cut through the shield. Like like did
Yeah,
you
I
saw what it
believe
did
it
to
too.
Yashiori Island, right? Like I mean, it
Pretty
doesn't matter
much.
if you have a shield or not. Like I think it would just break it. So
It'd be funny, like he tries to call down the meteor, right, and just like whacks it
yeah, she could definitely cut it in half, 100%.
easily. But yeah, that's what's going on. That's what I found on my social safari. So thank you everyone for tuning in to episode one of that segment. Next week we're gonna have maybe a couple of other extra posts. So I try to look at something interesting along the way that I see in our timelines or around the internet. And if you have something to share with us, definitely share it at Genshin Guys Pod. Back to you, Josh.
Oh yeah. Hey yeah, thanks. That was pretty fun. Yeah, definitely if you send us some interesting stuff on Twitter, if you send us any interesting posts or memes or things that make you think about Genshin and its lore, definitely send them our way and we might feature them. Kahi might talk about them on that segment. So yeah, looking forward to it, guys. Okay, that being said, let's move on to our next segment, which is Fungi Fun, which is about the Fabulous Fungus Frenzy event. So I don't want to go too long about it. It's not that complicated of an event, to be honest, but I just want to quickly talk about the story, the gameplay, and maybe what future implications that this event may have for Genshin itself. So, so Kahi, you finished this event, correct?
Mm-hmm. Story and all.
Okay, so, what were your thoughts on the story? overall?
Um, Pleasantly predictable, even though it wasn't too big of a surprise, is because I mean they kind of set it up in a way where you think something's gonna happen throughout the thing, and then yeah, it does. Um, Story thoughts. I did like. I liked how they didn't make Yaimiko just super OP. Like, oh, she just walks in and just whoops everyone because she's just naturally talented at everything. But I do like how they gave her the win, even though she lost the battle. So she lost her match against that the NPC, but then her
The
attitude
Hanya.
just made it so that the winner didn't feel like she won and she just walked away all frustrated. That is such a typical Yaimiko move. Like just her demeanor just makes you think that you're always like dancing in the palm of her hand, which is hilarious. So I like how they didn't just give her all the wins just because they like her, but it just let her have a good character moment that matched her. But as far as like what happened to like the traveler and the fun guy throughout the event, it was a good story. It's definitely not a major event or something that's like blowing your mind kind of stuff, but it everything falls into place very nicely. What about you, Josh? There's like a certain part of the story that you thought was noteworthy or really nice.
Well, I think it was just cool that we got to see a little bit about Layla. Even though she like just came out, like we get to see like how she acts a little bit. I don't think it's like a really great. It's not. It's definitely not a substitute for like a hangout or anything that has to do with her backstory because we still know nothing about that. But as far as like just having a character there, if it could be anyone, then yeah, it makes sense that they choose to introduce Layla a little bit in this sense, especially considering her demeanor and her personality. Um, so yeah, I thought it was overall pretty, like you said, it was uh how can I say, like wonderfully predictable. Like it was very easy to watch. And it was fun. It was fun to play. And so yeah, it wasn't too much running around. I thought it was going to be a lot more involved, but surprisingly they put a decent amount of work into the presentation of the story. So I thought it was
I was
great.
actually surprised that Layla, took to Yaimiko that quickly and easily. Like, I had I had no idea like they were gonna hit it off. I had no idea that she was gonna be like impressed or like so awestruck by Yaimiko, but just genuinely wanted to like you know become a protege or follower or just like follow her around. I thought that was interesting, but I don't know if that means anything. But maybe it's just she's she thinks she's cool for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean it was nice to just see them getting along.
Yeah,
This character we had around forever, or not forever, but for a while now, and then brand new character who we normally wouldn't meet under most circumstances. Yeah, it was cool. Hey guys, Josh here. I just went back while editing this podcast because Kahi actually sent me a video from Cat with Blue Hat. Shout out to Cat with Blue Hat on YouTube, who we have like featured their information on this channel on this podcast before. But if you finish the Fabulous Fungus Frenzy event, I recommend you go check out Cat with Blue Hat's video, The Hidden Dark Ending of a Rather Happy Fungi Event. And this video explains that there is a hidden parallel story that also takes place during the fungi event. And it involves you going way out of your way to find the NPCs from the event, namely the main antagonist, and finding out about what's going on behind the scenes during the events that are happening with the traveler. And it's really interesting. There's even like a hidden boss fight, like a boss NPC, and they drop an item that has more lore, and it is very dark. So I definitely recommend you check it out if you're interested. I don't want to spoil it, but if you finish the event, head on over to the video and watch the video. It's up to you if you want to watch the video first and then actually do it in game, or for but the risk of spoilers, or you can actually just go through the event the way that it's like basically intended, and then watch this video to see the hidden things. But the thing is, the even the hidden information is event limited. So like the items and the lore that you see from the event is linked to this event. So um, you got to do it within this time period. And it happens as you do the event. So if you've already done the event, you cannot go back. As far as I know, you can't go back and do it. You can fight the boss NPC at the end, I believe, though. So definitely something you should check out when you get the time. I thought it was really important to throw in there while I'm editing this podcast because it has to do with this fungi story. It's really interesting, and it's gonna make us second guess whether or not we actually got all of the story or all the lore of some of these limited time events, which kind of sucks, to be honest, because like you can't go back and play these events. Like they're gone so far. Like once you've done them, once they've gone, there's nobody to get them back. There's nobody to get the rewards from the events. So hopefully there'll still be some sort of way to see these in the future. But for now, it's going to be all up to the people that find them and document them and put them on YouTube. And Cat with Blue Hat is doing a super great job. So shout out to this channel. And I definitely recommend you go subscribe to them for more Genshin lore content. So I know I'll definitely be checking out their videos and mentioning them whenever it's relevant. So anyway, that was just a little extra from me. Thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. So as far as gameplay, I kind of want to give my thoughts on it first, which is so the gameplay, I thought was really fun. Like I like
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
games. I like games where you can like build up your characters and then watch them battle, like, or you auto battle, and like you still have some control over them, but you're not doing everything. Like you're not controlling every character, moving every character to every spot and attacking every enemy. You kind of get to feel like you are commanding characters that have a mind of their own almost. And so it was really cool because um like the using elemental reactions, like the gameplay makes a lot of sense. Like you have your healing water, I mean hydro fungi, and then you have your ice DPS fungi, and then you put them together and the enemy gets frozen. Like it's pretty great use of the elemental reaction system. Now, I think what the thing that is the most funny to me is that Pokemon game, the newest one, just came out
Yep.
recently.
I'm sure a
And
lot of people I'm sure a lot of people drew that little connection to.
yeah,
Very
and it
coincidental.
was like, even when they announced it, everyone's like, "Oh, look, it's a Pokemon simulator." And I think that comparing to Pokemon doesn't really make sense because it's not at all like Pokemon. Just the concept of, catching a critter of some sort, raising it, and then having it in battle is the closest, is like that's where the similarities are with Pokemon, but that's where the similarities stop. Because after that, you do a really fun. I really enjoyed the puzzles to raise your fungi, and then you create teams of them, and you take on the challenges or go through the story. And I thought it was really fun to experiment with the different teams and try the element reactions and have control over their special moves. And even though you're not doing everything, like your fungi are doing most of the fighting, they give you things to do. So you can run around and pick up the special move, little feathers that like come down from, they just appear like throughout the arena, so you can run to them, get them, and you'll be able to use more special moves. If you don't, they disappear and you have less use of your special moves, which is pretty dangerous because you kind of need those. And you also can target which enemy you want your fungi to focus on. So this is also super important when it comes to like getting rid of the healer, when it comes to like getting rid of the like damaging the boss enemy, or like the elite enemy. I think they're called the elite enemies. And so yeah, I thought it was really fun. Now, that being said, it's not Pokemon, but I thought it'd be really interesting if we had a Pokemon game like this. Like, I would love to see an experimental, like, 2v2 or 3v3 Pokemon game where, like, you have all your Pokemon out, because 2v2 and 3v3 is already a thing, right? In Pokemon. And so it'd be really cool to see them kind of just fighting on their own and you issuing commands. And it made me think about what would that look like. And so, yeah, I thought as a Genshin game, it's super fun. And next to Pokemon, it's not Pokemon, but what would Pokemon be like if Pokemon tried to copy, in a way, this Genshin mechanic? And I just thought that was super interesting. What
Quick
are your
swap
thoughts on
to
the
others.
gameplay?
Yeah, I love the fact that you can lead the target. You can lead your fungi to a target and say, no, focus on that one first, and then use their ability, oh, focus on that one. It's like, it's almost like you have like a fishing line, you're just pulling it in a direction and letting them go. You have to kind of like, predict as well, like, hey, we don't need to focus on this one for now. This one's about to use their ability, so you want to get that one down first, or like freeze it here, then quickly swap back to another target. It's a new type of combat, which is why I really do hope that there is. I mean, a lot of people were already speculating this too, like there is going to be, or I hope there is going to be a character that has abilities like this. Like you throw out a construct, lead it, and say, attack this one. Because now that exists, like there is a system that your traveler can aim, target something, an AI can attach itself to it, do moves against it. That system exists now. So they can
This
just
is
take it
what
a
I
step
meant by
forward.
future implications. It's
Exactly.
exactly what I meant. So Kahi, what kind of future implications do you? No, okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, so yes, exactly this.
There's that.
I think that um, they could take these mechanics that they've introduced in this event, and maybe using this event as an experiment, they can start implementing a similar move set to a character in the game, like you said, being able to control a minion of some sort to move them around on the battlefield while still being able to do other things. I think that would be super interesting. And, we'll see where they take this. Hopefully, they take it somewhere. Hopefully, this isn't the last that we see of this sort of gameplay in Genshin. But, like, knowing Hoyoverse and MiHoYo, like, they love to experiment with these kind of game modes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see something like this for a while, but I would love to see something sooner than later. It's kind of how I felt because I really enjoyed playing through this event. So, so yeah, so that's basically you know the most of it for the Fabulous Fungus Frenzy. If you're listening to this the day that we release it, there's still have about a week left on the event, so feel free to do all the challenges, etc., etc. I mean, of course, the story. I mean, if we didn't really do any like major spoilers for the story, so please enjoy it. It's not gonna influence your understanding of the Archon quest or anything like that. There's no real spoilers, but enjoy it for what it is. And yeah, so that's basically all we had to say today about the Fabulous Fungus Frenzy. So hoping for more in the future. Now let's move on to our last segment for the day, which is the community question discussion. So last week, we asked the question, what world rule would the other descenders break? Similar to how the traveler is a descender and they can break the rule of not using a vision to manipulate the elements. They can just use their own power to manipulate the elements. We talked about it in our last podcast. If you need context, go ahead and listen to our last podcast. But quick version is we are talking about lore stuff here. So Kahi, what world rule would you think the other descenders would break?
So the thing is that we learned from the Archon quests, as well as maybe some other side quests in Sumeru, is that there's a thing called forbidden knowledge that came from not of this world into this world, and apparently that's what caused the desert. So King Deshret is the one who inherited the knowledge and then gave it to the people, and apparently now it ruined them. So that's the first time we know that knowledge can get into this world, does stuff, corrupts people, causes a lot of havoc, and can, of course, even overpower some certain archons, or like cause them to use their power and drain themselves of power just to push it back or get rid of it. So, forbidden knowledge is a thing that exists, which means Sumeru may not be the only place that can have this kind of encounter. So, there might be somewhere out there that has inherited the forbidden knowledge and is using it and manipulating it or making stuff with it. So there could be things in this world made with forbidden knowledge and we have no idea. So maybe that could be some constructs. Maybe that could be some kind of knowledge of a power that gives them an ability of some sort. So someone's out there that either remembers Ruka Devata, like we were speculating earlier. Someone is out there who knows what knowledge came outside this reality or universe and is using it to their advantage. So it was not specifically stated that Sumeru and the desert is the only place that this knowledge had entered this world. So yeah, it's logical to assume that it could have happened somewhere else too. What about you, Josh? What's the other world rule that you think the other descenders could break?
I think that there's probably someone who has some sort of power to manipulate time, or at least travel, through with outside of it, because I think that a lot of this game involves time travel, or at least wait, I don't know if I want to say time travel, but it involves different time periods, that are all connected to each other. Whether it's the 500 years ago Archon War, the time before that, um, there are just so many different points where, like, oh man, even like the concept of like Raiden Shogun being trapped inside of her own dimension for like 500 years, fighting her, fighting wait actually A fought Raiden Shogun for
Right.
like 500 years, right, inside this the plane of something eurythmia or something like that. So that kind of like time displacement, like this stuff happens a lot in Genshin, and it's kind of subtle sometimes, but I think that Sumer's storyline is where it's been the most prominent so far, with like the Sub-Zero's festival kind of seeming like a time loop, and like all of these references to like, I mean, not only erasing the history and like changing time itself, like the way it was written, but also just the timeline of everything that happened in Sumer, like the Dendra Archon dying, and um the thing with the forbidden knowledge, where like a lot of what we were trying to figure out was the timeline. And I have a feeling that if there is someone who like that there is someone who was at all of these events at some point, or in some capacity, like whether it's that they just live forever, or whether it's that they jump around and they go to where these significant events are happening. I feel like that would be a really interesting backstory for one of these other characters who are not from this universe to have. So yeah, it's just just a random shot in the dark theory, but time travel is mentioned a lot, and I thought it'd be cool if there was some descender that had to do with breaking what we understand is time in Tevat. So
All right. Now, going to our community answers, there's a few that we want to pick out. Some, it was probably a little bit hard to speculate about world rules that we really don't even know about, or like how we would manipulate this game world. So we have a few. Some are fun, some are just funny. Alexandre Thibault. I think another descender could use multiple elements at the same time, a bit like Kazuha managed to use two visions, but this descender could use them all the time. I do also like that. I do also agree because the traveler also can use multiple elements, but really only chooses to stick to one for a very, very long time for that one particular, you know, country. So yeah, there's that. The next community member, the traveler. Hello, good eye, mate. I think they will break the law that you can only have one element and might be able to use more than one vision or no visions. Oh, actually, yeah, multiple visions. Because there could be a person out there that's collecting them, and if they are to sender, they use it and channel it through multiple visions. That might actually be pretty clever because if you destroy a vision, do, wait, hold up, destroy. I don't know why I just said that. Do you remember if there was any kind of event where a vision was destroyed? Did Raiden even do that, or did she just put him
I
on a
don't know about
statue?
destroying a vision,
Hmm.
but it's more like people like losing them or being taken or like dying, so the vision doesn't belong to anybody anymore. I don't know about destroying a vision.
Okay, because that would be interesting if someone's collecting multiple. Like that would increase their elemental channeling powers. Okay, well I like this idea. Um, Here's a funny idea from Peachy on Genshin. They can turn anything, even people and archons, into meatballs and make them fall from the sky so cloudy with a chance of meatballs, so it's a Zhongli burst, but it's meatballs. Okay. Okay, here's
How many times
it's
can you say meatballs in one sentence?
okay, you know the thing is this theory is not really that far fetched because you have the wind chaser event where you could literally turn into a prop. So
and
That
Zhongli does make meatballs. So
that technically could happen. Someone could be like parading as a chair, and then that's the descender. Because oh wait a second, the Tanuki can do that from Inazuma. You know they can turn into
yeah,
objects.
Tanukis are descenders.
So yeah, they're all descenders. Cool. Um, so yeah, that was our question from last week. Now this one will be a little bit easier. Josh, would you like to introduce our new community question?
Yeah, so our new community question is going to be, yes, much easier this week, just as a fun question. So what is your favorite in-game food item and why? Right? Recently, actually my wife has been like cooking a lot in game and like trying to get all the recipes and like making sure that she has auto cook unlocked for everything. And a lot of the cooking art is super nice. A lot of the exclusive dishes, like the special dishes for when you use certain characters to make certain dishes, are really fun and really cool to look at because they represent that character in a theme in one of those dishes. So you know what is your favorite in-game food item and why? And like if you haven't had the chance to like look through the in-game food items, or if you're curious about, hey, my favorite character, what is their special dish, like go look it up and check it out. It's really fun. So we'll be answering that question ourselves next week along with you all. And that wraps up our show for today. So, as always, thanks for listening. If you have time, please leave us a comment and a review. We really appreciate it, of course. And don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Follow us on Twitter, once again, at Genshin Guys Pod. Follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/jside and Kahi at KAHIYAO on basically any social media platform. And you can find us. So thank you, everybody, as always, for listening. And also, as always,
Ad Astra Abyssosque.
星と支援を目指せ